Next game. Browns-Patriots. Patriots end up winning this game 32-13. Let's take a look at the top 5 graded players that we had for New England. Safety Jalen Hawkins. Man, he has had some big moments this year. I'll highlight that a little bit more in a second, but 92.1, an elite defensive grade here. Linebacker Robert Spillane, another really good game from him as a free agent coming over from the Raiders. 84.5. Tight end Austin Hooper, an 81.3. Cornerback Christian Gonzalez, a 79.1. Cornerback Marcus Jones with a 77.9. And then Drake Maye in this game, a 71.6. On Cleveland's side of things, Myles Garrett, 5 sacks in this game. 91.5 overall grade. Tight end Harold Fannin Jr., a 75.2. Linebacker Carson Schweschinger with a 75.0. Tight end David Njoku, a 73.6. And then linebacker Muhammad Diabate with a 71.7. Dylan Gabriel in this game, not his best, a 33.7. Stats have told the story here, Dalton.
I thought the first half of this game was really interesting. We went into halftime. It was 9-7 New England. They had just hit a field goal just before the half, and the Browns' defense was playing really well. Carson Schweschinger had an interception of Drake Maye that gave the Browns some momentum there. And I thought it looked like it was going to be another one of these Browns games where you're like, oh, it's going to be 17-14, one way or the other. Could they sneak away with a win because of their defense? Myles Garrett with 5 sacks, which is just ridiculous. I mean, what more? We say plenty about Myles Garrett here at PFF. We know that. And, what else can you say about 5 sacks even in a game where the Browns lost? Because we all know defensive ends, the wins are a defensive end stat.
Of course.
Trevor. We know that. But either way, it was really going to be about who came out in this third quarter and really hit the second level of adrenaline needed to win this game. That was New England. By the time when the third quarter started, you had something to watch, and by the time the third quarter was over, you had nothing left to watch. 21-0 in the third quarter. Patriots, 15 plays, 159 yards, obviously more than 10 yards a play, 10.5 yards a play, 82 offensive grade. The Browns go punt, interception. That's how the score widened all the way by that point to 30-7. It really was just, I think Mike Vrabel did a great job with this team understanding, listen, we're in a close game. I don't care what their record is. They got a really good defense. If we don't come out and punch this team in the mouth right away in the second half, we're going to keep them in this game, and that's how they win football games. And that dominant third quarter is what really carried New England to a win. And I just want to say, too, the first New England drive of that third quarter when they got the ball after a 3-and-out, that sequence of play calling, it was 7 plays. That sequence of play calling from Josh McDaniels, maybe the best drive that I've seen all year, because he understood, okay, we're not beating this team between the tackles. We tried in the first half. It's this front 7 with Garrett and Schweschinger and all these guys playing well. We got to get outside. We got some speed option working. We got some bootleg working for the touchdown at the end of the drive. If you go back and watch that very first drive of the second half for the Patriots, you will not see a better sequence of play calling, and it really set them up for success the rest of the second half, because it was just, look, we got to, it's like a few others. We talked about it with Pittsburgh earlier, but the Browns more than anybody in the league, you got to work around this front 7. You're not going right through it. McDaniels did a great job of adjusting. Whatever it was that he put in or just decided to adjust at halftime was fantastic.
I think he's the most underrated assistant coach in the NFL, because I think when people think about Josh McDaniels, they think about the failed head coaching stints with him.
And the fact that most of his career is with Tom Brady.
No, and obviously that as well, but now we're sitting here and it's like, yeah, now we just have an offensive coordinator who, man, what year was he the first in offensive coordinator?
Was it 07 or 8? Was he the OC on the record-setting team, or was he the next year?
So he was the offensive coordinator in 06. So he was with the Patriots as a quarterback coach in 04 and 05. And then he was the quarterback's coach and offensive coordinator in 2006. So you've got the head coach stint with the Broncos from 2009 to 2010. Obviously did not work out well. You have the second head coaching stint with him with the Raiders in 2022 and 2023. Obviously did not work well. But in between that, he was the offensive coordinator for the Patriots from 2006 to 2008, and then once again from 2012 to 2021, and now he's back as their offensive coordinator. So instead, now you have a guy who has just been in the NFL as an offensive coordinator or higher of a position for almost 20 years now. And sure, 4 of those seasons as a head coach didn't go well, but he's got 15 years of him being an excellent offensive coordinator. And if you want to sit here and say, well, of course, it was with Tom Brady, whatever it was, think of the wealth of knowledge that this guy has now at this point. He's no longer motivated by ego to be a head coach. He's gone for that stint twice now. It hasn't worked. Josh McDaniels is going to be an offensive coordinator in the NFL until he retires, I think. I mean, maybe he'll get another head coaching gig, but I don't think that's – I don't even know if he wants that at this point, especially for how good he has it right now in New England. And so all that to say, it's the perfect spot for Drake Maye because you have an offensive coordinator who's not new. He's not up and coming. His coach isn't learning along the way as Drake Maye is learning. Josh McDaniels has seen it. He's seen it all for 20 years. He's won championships. He's played with the GOAT. He gets it. He's had successes. He's had failures. This could not be a more perfect situation for Drake Maye. And in a game where Drake Maye was struggling a little bit with one of the best defenses in the NFL, what you just said means so much. The fact that McDaniels can go into halftime and actually have adjustments and be able to explain the adjustments means so much. I can't remember what coach said this recently. But somebody, I was listening to some coach and they were like, halftime adjustments happen. Like, it wasn't saying like it doesn't happen. But it doesn't happen to the extent that like fans often think it does. Like I think fans sometimes believe that you can have like a whole new week's worth of practice in the 15 minutes that you're all in the locker room and you can come up with just this completely different game plan. A lot of time it really is the word adjustments is doing a lot of the heavy lifting there. They're not coming up with a completely new game plan. A lot of times it is adjusting things here and there. McDaniels actually has that ability to adjust things at a high level for this offense and for Drake Maye, and I think that is really what we're seeing. And I think that some people might look at this matchup and go, yeah, it was against the Browns, who cares? Yeah, but you're talking about, and what we're talking about is an adjustment against one of the best defenses in the NFL that they did a really good job of. So I didn't expect to go on a Josh McDaniels rant, but there it is. My staff told the story. Patriots defense on early down specifically. We saw Dylan Gabriel's grade in this one, a 33.7 overall grade. The Browns were 2 for 11 on third down, so 18% here in this game. Obviously not good enough to probably win a football game. Only 2 of their third downs had a down and distance of 5 or less. So the rest of their third downs were a lot longer. They forced a negative 0.135 EPA per play on early down, so first and second down. That was 6th best in the NFL this week. And their 87.5 team defensive grade on early downs, once again, first and second down, that was the best defensive grade that we had in the NFL for week 8 of any of these teams. So specifically, the Patriots setting the tone and executing correctly on first and second down put the Cleveland Browns in disadvantageous situations where they really didn't have the option to run the ball, and it forced Dylan Gabriel to sit back in the pocket, handle pressure, scan the field, all of that good stuff. And the early part of the game, I noticed, they were sending pressure. They actually were starting to send pressure on those third down situations, and Gabriel, to his credit, actually handled a couple of them pretty well. And then the Patriots were like, all right, fine. We'll rush 4. We got faith in our 4. We think they'll get home. We think they'll rattle you enough. We think that because you're a rookie quarterback, you'll probably see ghosts a little bit. And then you're going to have to deal with more coverage players on the back end. And that's when he really started to struggle. So a really good job of the Patriots on early downs for their defense here in this game.
And I was going to point out their run defense, too, was just outstanding. The Browns had 68 rushing yards as a team. 31 of them were a jet sweep to Malachi Corley, and another 13 were a Dylan Gabriel scramble. Quinshon Judkins has he had 9 carries for 19 yards in this game. So if the Browns can't run the football, and you just mentioned, okay, we'll just send 4 at their pass protection. Well, this is the worst pass blocking team in the league, too. It's a part of the reason why the quarterbacks have struggled so much. Yeah, it makes sense. If you stop the run against this Cleveland team, you're going to have a lot of success. And the head of that run defense this week, and as it should be most weeks, is the middle linebacker, Robert Spillane. Trev, when I turn on the Browns' offensive side of this tape, I felt like I couldn't go more than maybe 2 snaps without seeing Robert Spillane do something. 13 tackles, 5 stops, 90.7 run defense grade, and an interception, which I really thought was the play that started to put this game away, and 2 pressures as a blitzer. He was all over the place. And I mean, again, I've talked about this before, too, with New England. Veteran guys like that, like Robert Spillane, like Stephon Diggs at times, like, even an Austin Hooper grading highly in this game, Hunter Henry, the veteran guys, too, are as much a contribution to this as Drake Maye and Christian Gonzalez and Kayshon Boutte and a lot of the young guys, because they're getting them. This was another game. I mean, again, the final score was wide, but there was some adversity in this game. This was a tough first half, and the Patriots came out and said, hey, stay the course. McDaniels will make the adjustments, will force a turnover on defense, and this game is over by the end of the third quarter. That's how fast it can happen. And just a credit to the mix of guys. Once again, I know I've been saying it a lot, but the mix of guys the Patriots have and the experienced coaching staff, it's making a huge difference.
Yeah, I love Jalen Hawkins in this game as well. He's had a couple of games now this season where he's graded above an 80. Maybe both games I think were above an 85. Certainly this game he graded above an 85. I thought he was pretty good in run defense, 72.1 run defense grade, 92.1 overall defensive grade. That's thanks to 89.7 coverage grade, which I don't know if you saw the interception.
Yep.
Probably one of the craziest interceptions that we're going to see
Just
this season. Now, I don't know if he plays the ball super. No, he plays the ball well. I don't know if he plays the route super well, because if you watch, he's in a free safety spot, and the wide receiver kind of gets behind him, and he sort of takes an interesting path to get to the point where he intercepts that football with one hand. But the result was phenomenal, and it was a great play by Jalen Hawkins, and he has been sort of an underrated player on this defense, I think, throughout the season, who's been playing really well. Anything else on this one before we move on?
No, I mean, the Browns are what they are. I mean, we know that their defense will keep them in games. If their offense can give them something, they can win. If not, like in this game, then so be it.
I think that we're getting closer to Shedeur getting a legit shot for this team at some point. I'm not saying that they should make the change for him this week. I think that Gabriel is going to get at least another 3 weeks to the starting quarterback. But if he continues to not really be a factor in them winning football games, I could see them certainly in the second half of the season wanting to give Shedeur at least a little bit of a runway here, because you want to give at that point, if the Browns continue to struggle, because what's the Browns record right now? They are
2 and something. Are they 2 and 6? Is it? Have they had a bye yet?
They're 2 and 6. So if the next 3 weeks, actually, let's take a look. So the Browns,
You did this last week, and then they immediately, or last time with Flacco, and they immediately flipped the switch on you. See that?
Maybe
is it
I'm
you?
the
Is it
jinx.
you? Are you the death knell?
So they have a bye week coming up. So it's a bye week, and then it's at the Jets, daunting, coming off a big, huge win. A lot of confidence. And then it's versus the Ravens, who are getting more healthy now at this point. And then it's at Las Vegas for the Raiders. I think at that point, week 13, we're kind of on Shedeur watch for this team. Because then you have 2 games at home. You have the Niners and you have the Titans. Then you're at Chicago. And then you're at home again, Bills, Steelers. And then you're at the Cincinnati Bengals to end the season. You want to at least give yourself 4 or 5 games with Shedeur, because if things don't go well over these next 3 games, like let's even say they go 1 and 2, but Gabriel doesn't look very great, right? And they're sitting here at 3 and 8 going into the last stretch of their season. The most important question for you to answer then is, do we think that we have the guy for 2026 on the roster right now at the quarterback position? If you don't think it's Gabriel, is it going to be Shedeur? Because I don't know what Deshaun Watson's contract is, but I got to think they're going to get out of that as soon as possible.
Yeah, you're not going back to that.
And at 3 and 8, you're going to be in contention for a top 5, if not the number 1 overall pick. That's when I think we start to have the Shedeur Sanders conversation with this team. He was not the backup quarterback in this game. Bailey Zappi was, but that's because Shedeur got added to the injury report for a back injury. So I don't really know exactly what's going on with that situation, but I do think that if we continue to trend this way, we'll see Shedeur Sanders at some point for the Browns. And then, depending on how he plays, we'll have a much clearer picture of what the Browns might actually do and how aggressive they're going to be to improve that position this offseason.